You ever wonder why medicine just stopped? I mean, for hundreds and hundreds of years, after the Roman Empire fell, it's like the clock on medical progress just froze solid. Well, in this explainer, we're going to play detective and investigate a major historical mystery. Why did medicine basically stagnate for centuries during the medieval period? Let's find out.
All right, first things first, let's set the scene. I want you to imagine you're living way back in the year 1200. Life is tough. It's a world filled with farming accidents, street fights, and pretty much constant war. Getting sick or injured isn't some far-off idea, it's a daily, very real possibility.
And this image? Wow, it just perfectly captures the dangers of the time. This is the Wound Man, and you'd find him in all sorts of medieval medical books. He's been stabbed, slashed, bitten by animals, clubbed, you name it. And this wasn't some made-up monster. This was a visual checklist of all the horrible injuries a real person could get. It shows you exactly what doctors were up against.
So, just for a second, put yourself in his shoes. If this was you, with an arrow sticking out of you and a sword wound in your shoulder, what could a doctor in the Middle Ages actually do for you? Seriously, where would they even begin to figure out a treatment? That's the core problem we're digging into.
Now, it's not like medieval doctors were just guessing. Not at all. They were working from a complete and, to them at least, a totally logical system for understanding the human body. It was their one and only rulebook, the Four Humors Theory. The main idea was actually pretty simple. Your body was basically a container filled with four key liquids, or humors. You had blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. As long as those four were in perfect balance, you were healthy. The moment you got sick, it was because one of them was out of whack. Too much of one, not enough of another.
And you know, this theory was so convincing because it connected the human body to the entire world. Each humor was linked to one of the natural elements and its qualities. So blood was like air, hot and wet. Phlegm was like water, cold and wet. To someone living back then, this made perfect sense. It was like we were made of the same stuff as nature itself.
And this wasn't some new idea they just cooked up. Nope, it came from the ultimate authorities, the ancient Greek and Roman writers, especially guys like Hippocrates and Galen. These thinkers were legends. Their books were treated almost like holy texts. For more than 1,000 years, their ideas were the absolute foundation of all medicine.
Which, of course, brings us right back to our central mystery. They had this detailed, ancient, super respected theory. So why did everything just grind to a halt? Why did medicine get so stuck in a rut for centuries?
To figure that out, we need to do a little investigation. We're going to look at all the key parts of medieval life and identify the suspects responsible for holding back medical progress. Okay, here's our case file. This diagram lays it all out for us. All the major forces at play in medieval society. We've got the church, the government, education, how people communicated, what they did for work, and just the general attitudes of the time. Every single one of these is a suspect in our investigation. But here's the kicker, the really crucial point. These suspects didn't act alone. Oh no, they were all tangled up together, creating this powerful system that was almost impossible to change. So let's start with our prime suspect, the most powerful institution in all of medieval Europe, the Church. The Church's influence was, well, absolute. It stretched from the Pope in Rome right down to the priest in the smallest, most remote village. And most importantly, the monasteries were the gatekeepers of knowledge. They were the libraries, the publishers, and the universities all rolled into one. They controlled the flow of information. And that leads us straight to our second suspect, education. Because naturally, if you control all the books, you control what people learn.
So the church ran the universities, where doctors were trained, and with most people not even able to read, and the most common books being prayer books, well, the church could make sure that Galen's ideas, which fit really nicely with their own teachings, were the only ideas being taught. There just wasn't an alternative.
Now, when a powerful church controls the education of a population that mostly can't read anyway, it really shapes how everyone thinks. And this brings us to suspect number 3, the attitudes of the time.
People were basically taught that all the important answers were already written down in old books. Your job wasn't to go out and discover new things, it was to read and accept what was already known. To question the great thinkers of the past wasn't just seen as wrong, it was considered incredibly arrogant and pretty disrespectful to both tradition and to God.
But it wasn't just this big combination of religion and education holding things back. The simple, practical realities of everyday life also put up huge roadblocks to any kind of medical progress.
I mean, think about it.
90% of the population were farmers, working from sunrise to sunset. They had zero time for education. And any new idea, if one even popped up, would spread at a snail's pace because every single book had to be copied by hand. And the king? He and his government were way too busy fighting wars and dealing with criminals to worry about things like public health or medical research.
Okay, so we've looked at our suspects: the church, education, attitudes, and the whole structure of daily life. It is time to deliver the verdict on our historical mystery.
For medicine to get better, you need a cycle. It all starts with new ideas about what causes disease. Those ideas lead you to try out new treatments and new ways to stop people from getting sick in the first place. Then, the results from those experiments feed back and help you refine your original ideas. It's like a triangle of progress.
And here it is, the final verdict. In medieval Europe, the top of that triangle, the new ideas part, was locked down, solid. The four humors theory, backed by ancient authority and protected by the church, was the only idea allowed. And if you can't question the fundamental cause of disease, you can't experiment with new treatments or better prevention. The entire cycle of medical progress was basically frozen in place.
So the real culprit wasn't just the church or just education. It was the whole interconnected system. A system that was designed to preserve the knowledge they already had, not to create anything new. And that leaves us with one last really fascinating question. What force could possibly be strong enough to finally shatter this cycle and get medicine moving forward again?